Lala Oriani of YouTube channel Truth and Transparency is a stalker. Now, before you accuse me of defamation or defamation or hubris, listen to this.
The court needs to find that there's an imminent risk of harm or to prevent stalking. Frankly, folks, all hell's broken loose since the order of protection was issued in January. That order of protection was issued on January 13th of 2022. I have a return of service indicating that it was served upon the defendant on the 17th of January. And since that time, there has been an extreme escalation by the defendant, with allegations that not just once but twice that order of protection has been violated. Since that time, in reviewing the exhibits that have been admitted, the situation has greatly escalated. And had the court had that information beforehand, I would have definitely said under 18.3, 602, 1B and 1C, there were grounds for issuing the protection order. And seeing I don't care if it was a Nerf gun or not, being repeatedly fired and practicing aim, the court was greatly alarmed by that, and do find that would cause a reasonable person, under the totality of that conduct, fear for their life and fear for the lives of their loved ones. The court finds, by a much more than a preponderance of the evidence, that unless restrained, these acts are going to continue. They're going to, similar acts are going to continue, or maybe different acts designed to retaliate against the protected person. Ms. Oriani, I don't find your testimony credible. I found your testimony to be at many times incomprehensible and wandering, and that there is a definite fixation that you have on Ms. Walsh, and it's a very unhealthy fixation. That there appears to be the motive here. What I was hearing from you was simply more motive about this passion and that you had for Ms. Walsh, and an extreme interest in what was going on with Ms. Walsh. And it's important that now that the order of protection will be made permanent, that you don't violate it. That this seems to have been caused from maybe some hurt feelings that Ms. Walsh had not wished to follow you or to associate with you, and that led to this stalkering type of behavior. Ms. Oriani, do you have any further findings that you wish me to make? No? All right. Well, then I'm going to instruct the clerk to prepare that order of protection. Let me just say to both parties, now is the time to let this go. Let's de-escalate this situation. There is plenty of room out there on the YouTube scene for both people to have their own blogs, stay away from each other, to not communicate, and to just carry on. All right? So let's have that happen.
If you know much about the makeup of a stalker, they rarely believe that they're doing anything wrong, and they rarely self-correct their behavior. In other words, stalker's going to stalk. And they're not always going to stalk the same person. They may stalk multiple people at the same time. And the internet has made that a lot too easy to do, especially here in America. All the footage and clips I'm about to show you in this video are evidence that Lala Oriani uses her channel to stalk, dox, and harass private citizens in the name of the murdered students at the University of Idaho, otherwise known as the Idaho4. Everything you see on your screen is something that was published on Truth and Transparency's channel using the Idaho4 and related hashtags, but are actually images and information related to private citizens who not only have nothing to do with the murders, but have every reason to believe that their private information would stay private. When I say ordinary citizens, I'm talking about young students at the University of Idaho who weren't even students when the murders occurred. I'm talking about neighbors of the students who she's determined were the source of noise complaints without any proof. Those are just some examples of the people Lala Oriani has stalked with her channel. And most of them have absolutely no idea. They have no idea that a woman on YouTube has dug into their entire history, tracked their movements in and around the murder house as much as humanly possible, then published all the information she can find, including their financial status, the locations of their homes, how many homes they own, and their criminal records. She posts all of that on her channel, where it exists now because I just captured these screenshots, for her 40,000 subscribers to absorb. Most of the people she tries to connect to the murders probably have no idea this channel exists and is putting them on blast to 40,000 or potentially more viewers in connection to the most heinous crime their region has seen in decades. In the next set of clips, you will hear her directly addressing a woman in the neighborhood who Oriani believes has called in several noise complaints. Oriani not only says the woman's full name many times, but gives out personal private details of the woman's occupation, the woman's partner, their financial situation, and much more, while disparaging them the entire time. And while in a menacing tone telling the woman, "I know everything about you," then threatening the woman by saying that if the woman calls in another noise complaint, well, just listen to it.
Because I'm flat out just going to put on blast. If you call for a noise complaint one more time, I'm going to force the hand to say that I want to know if you are living on or if you are off in that house that's not behind the parties. Because I don't believe that you are living at the house. I think you rent it out. So I want you to prove to me that you are living there. But every single time is the one calling on these damn noise complaints. I want to put my complaint in. I want to know what happened and how you can hit a bicyclist and he dies and nothing happens to you. And then all of a sudden you start making noise complaints. So did you cut a deal? Is a nurse and she's over at that hospital over in Pullman, I believe. And was driving her 4x4 Highlander, whatever the hell she was driving, a Highlander. And she runs over this guy. And guess what? Somebody had alcohol in their system. Was okay?
In these clips, you're hearing Lana accuse a private citizen of working with the government in some grand conspiracy to set Bryan Kohberger up, then cover it up. Her voice and her demeanor reveals some sort of palpable anger toward this woman, which comes from who knows where. She feels entitled to share private details from the woman's life and uses these details to justify totally unreasonable anger toward a stranger she has never and will likely never meet. But Lana doesn't save her unreasonable accusations for adults in Moscow. She uses body cam footage from incidents having nothing to do with the murders to peep in on the lives of students and put them on blast while inciting her audience to feel the same contempt for them that she does. In the course of one video, before and after threatening and doxing this private citizen, she excoriates the college students in Moscow, calling them pansy-ass pussies, shouting "fuck you" at them, and giving them the finger and lecturing them about their civic duty to protest on behalf of the slain students.
They should be outside that courthouse every time that Bryan Kohberger has a hearing. I mean, what are you people doing in Moscow? What are these kids doing?
In the same live stream, she called on her 40,000 subscribers to watch new bombshell breaking news body cam footage of college students pissing on the murder house. Yes, you heard me right. She drew people into a live stream on the notion that college kids, some who are underage, right, were pissing on the murder house. It may be true that the college students who are currently in Moscow have used the property to relieve themselves, and that's indeed gross. But Lana takes the commentary much further than that. She makes unhinged and uneducated assumptions about these kids having cruel and disrespectful intentions while failing to take into account that most of the kids that can be seen in these totally unrelated body cam videos are freshmen who just matriculated into the University of Idaho. Even if they were there last fall when the murders occurred, they're all kids doing what kids do at college. They party and they relieve themselves wherever they can in the midst of their partying.
And you guys are pissing on the house? Fuck you. Okay? And I'm sorry, but that doesn't look good for the prosecution of Bryan Kohberger. It's almost like you guys are just a bunch of shitbags, and maybe we should look back at you guys. So when you want to say, sorority sisters are for life, fuck you. No. Fraternity, blah, blah. Y'all are a bunch of pansy-ass pussies, in my opinion.
Now, I need to point out that the body cam she shows in her most recent videos is from August 20th, 2023, just more than a week ago. The students were slain on November 13, 2022. So this body cam is a full 9 months after the murders took place. This body cam footage will do nothing to help solve the crime. It has nothing to do with the murders, and neither does the body cam footage that she showed a few weeks ago, and a few weeks before that, and a few weeks before that, and a few weeks before that. They have absolutely no bearing on solving these murders, but that is how she promotes it. With the hashtags Idaho4 and other related hashtags, she is knowingly inviting viewers to watch private citizens on body cam video. And when these viewers come into her chat, they become voyeurs right along with her. And she rails and lambasts police and students who appear in the video, while there are over 1,000 people watching simultaneously, with hundreds taking her unhinged comments further, calling for extreme measures to be taken against whoever they can see on their screen, calling them terrible names and disparaging them, not knowing who they are or why they're there. There is simply no good or valid reason for Oriani to expose private citizens to thousands of people other than to draw more views and income by attempting to connect them conspiratorially to the Idaho4 case. This is blatant exploitation. Now, I'd like to remind you or make you aware, if you're not already, that Lana Oriani is the president of a nonprofit that claims to help families of wrongfully accused murderers. In other words, the public, along with YouTube, are funding and promoting stalking videos that exploit the victims in Idaho, all while claiming to advocate for the victims in Idaho and advocate for wrongfully accused murderers, all while wrongfully accusing private citizens using their private information. Obviously, this is wrong, but as subscribers and viewers, we are powerless to change or stop it. YouTube makes it very easy for a channel like Truth and Transparency to manipulate the algorithm by connecting private citizens with high-profile murder cases using hashtags. There are no laws preventing this. There are no regulations governing this kind of internet behavior. And stalkers will not stop themselves from stalking, especially when they are being paid and celebrated for doing it. Can you imagine clicking on a true crime video one day and seeing your son or daughter just starting college being excoriated by a stalker on a YouTube channel because they ended up in a noise complaint body cam footage? I have 2 boys in college right now, and every time I see another one of these new videos posted and analyzed in the most deranged ways, I feel outraged for those students and their families who have no idea this is happening. But I too am powerless to stop it. The only thing I can do is point out the obvious. This is not harmless entertainment. This is blatant stalking by a confirmed, adjudicated stalker who is facing a criminal trial in September for telecommunications harassment related to revenge porn, all sponsored by YouTube and a public charity. What you can do is see this for what it is and not encourage it in any way. Do not encourage the algorithm to promote it by clicking on it while it's happening, and do not encourage the stalker to keep stalking by paying her during the live stream or egging her on with her unhinged conspiracy theories. If you disagree with me, that's totally fine. I can't change what you think or do. Just try to think about what you would do if your personal information was put on blast by a stalker with 40,000 subscribers just because your face ended up in a body cam video. You were there, wrong place, wrong time, or because your social media account was connected to one of the slain students, or because you might own a house nearby, or because one night you were really bothered by noise and you called in a complaint and some deranged stalker can pinpoint your house to that noise complaint. I can assure you, you would not be okay with it. If you wouldn't be okay with it for yourself, why should you be okay with it happening to other people? Now, finally, I would be remiss if I did not point out that Lana Oriani from Truth and Transparency has claimed very loudly and for many hours that she is the victim of relentless conspiratorial harassment and stalking and defamation from multiple people in the true crime community on YouTube.
Because people defamed my nonprofit, Fight for a Family, forcing me out here on the YouTube streets to promote myself and the nonprofit to say I am not who these fucking idiots say I am.
Over the last 2 years, she has filed 15 legal claims against YouTubers in Ohio. And so far, she has failed at all attempts in court, with the exception of one. To illustrate just how committed she is to maintaining her victimhood, she has requested multiple protection orders against people, failed to perfect service on them, and then failed to prosecute them by failing to show up to court. This resulted in their dismissals. When these first 5 civil protection order requests were dismissed, she turned around and repeated her requests on 4 of the same people she had already requested the orders on. What I'm about to show you is court video from a hearing that took place just days ago. To put this into context, this hearing was held on Thursday, August 24th in Ohio. This is the second time that Oriani and Vanessa from Unmasked have faced each other in Ohio as a result of Lana's continued failed attempts to be declared a stalking victim. The first time they faced each other in Ohio was in January after a 10-hour hearing. Yes, you heard that. 10 hours. The judge ruled that Ohio did not have personal jurisdiction over Vanessa from Unmasked and did not give Lana a protection order. Because of that, Lana filed another protection order request against Vanessa and a number of other people. The other people were not properly served, but Vanessa stated at the beginning of the hearing that she waived service to appear and put this charade to an end. I need to remind you of one more very important thing before I show you this clip. The person you're about to hear from is permanently protected in Colorado from stalking against Lana Oriani. The clip I played at the beginning of this video is from a judge telling Lana Oriani in March 2022 that for the rest of her life, she must refrain from stalking and harassing Vanessa from Unmasked. But here we are on August 24th with Vanessa appearing for the second time in a hearing in Ohio because you know what? Stalker's going to stalk. And they're going to retaliate, and they're going to menace, and they're going to harass, and project that they're the ones who are the victims of all the things they've been doing to other people. And the internet enables and encourages it.
The only pattern that's been established is ever since I've received, that I was awarded the restraining order in Colorado, she has been trying to get revenge for it and has been dragging me through the court system while simultaneously breaking the restraining order and continuously stalking me. She just gave you an example by contacting people that have spoken to me. She's not supposed to be doing that with the restraining order, contacting people I've spoken to and obtaining private conversations that are supposed to be private between 2 people, that the only interaction that Ms. Oriani and I have is in this courtroom when she drags me to court. And if she does have a problem with something and she thinks there's something that should be litigated, she should be doing it in Broomfield County, where the evidence has been heard, where this has already been litigated, and where she willingly availed herself to their jurisdiction. You can hear when she's speaking to you, she's grasping for straws, trying to come up with stuff that's new. She just gave 3 examples that I heard specifically of things that we already litigated prior. She just admitted it's to get me on the stand because she didn't do it last time. That's unfortunate for her, but things turned out the way they did. She also wanted to redo the restraining order hearing in Colorado, lost that appeal. It's not right to abuse the system in this way, to punish me for getting a restraining order when that judge found she was a credible threat to my life and the life of my family. And she's already put me through enough the past 2 years. I find this a blatant abuse of the system.
Please think about this video in its entirety before you support and encourage this behavior on the internet. Thank you and peace out.